Welcome to the Whole Note. Today we will be discussing Wonderland by Frank, what is his last name? I always get it wrong. Wildhorn, there it is. Which debuted on Broadway April 17th, 2011. And today, to talk about Wonderland, is a very special friend of mine and a special guest. She is a singer, an actress, a performer, and a techie. Danielle LeDoux.
Hello, everybody.
Danielle, go ahead and tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a 29-year-old Virgo, love long walks on the beach. Anyway, so I'm 29. I have a degree in theater tech from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. I've been doing theater since, since I was 12. So what is that, like 18 years? Anyway, so I guess that means you and I have known each other for about 18 years. Wow. What a time. But yeah, so love doing theater. I've always been involved on stage, backstage. So yeah, I really enjoy it. And currently I am no longer working in theater, but I am working for a local music store. So just want to do a quick little plug, shop local, go to Island Music for all your music needs.
Love it, love it. Now, Wonderland is a very interesting show. It is pretty much Alice in Wonderland, but contemporary, with a sort of I call it a Freudian twist towards the end of it. What are your thoughts on this musical?
I really enjoy the fact that it kind of breaks down that barrier of making the Alice in Wonderland story not just relatable to children, but also to adults, because we're always constantly trying to figure out who we are and the kind of people we want to be, and we're always constantly evolving. So I think it's really important that there is like such an imaginative coming of age story, for adults.
And the music in it by Frank Wildhorn. I will always continue to do that. The music in it by Frank Wildhorn is this man. There are several songs in this show that I'm just like, you just keep changing genres on me, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Yes. Actually, I think it's. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No. You go ahead.
I think it's absolutely incredible how he was able to identify a. I don't want to say a stereotype because I don't really like that word, but create a persona of each individual character based on their songs and even their parts in songs. Like sometimes the harmony or like their line in that song reflects the style of their solo introduction song, if you will, which I think is just so great and incredible of a composer to be able to do that. I think that's wonderful.
So let's just go ahead and go right into the song-by-song breakdown, because there's a lot to unpack in this show.
Absolutely.
So the first song that we have is the overture.
Yes.
Ooh. So my notes on it was like, it was such a haunting, like, opening, and the way that the music crescendos makes it sound like you're falling, and I was like, okay, and it really sort of like sets the tone for the rest of the show of this mystical adventure that we're about to go into.
Yeah, he definitely isn't just opening the door and welcoming you inside. He is kicking the door in, saying, "Everybody in, get on the train, we're going." And it's so, I love when the music's able to just like rip you right into the show like that. It makes it a lot easier to allow the fourth wall to disappear and like really be immersed in the whole experience. So yeah, the overture is absolutely incredible. One of my favorites, probably.
You had a lot of notes for the overture. Go ahead and say them. I'm really curious of what your thoughts of the overture is.
So I like how the progression of the songs go through, and as you were saying, how it kind of opens you up to that feeling of falling, and then all of a sudden, like it starts out like gentle and sweet and haunting and all of those soft ballady kind of notes, and then we move into this massive crescendo that just leads into chaos. And it's like going on a roller coaster and hitting the bottom of like an underground roller coaster, and you have no idea what's going on, and it's distracting and very disorienting all at the same time, but it's still it's a very good representation of the different styles of music that are in the show. And I also love that they limit the use of like reflecting back to songs in the show. Like they'll definitely have like a line here or there, but it's not like, all right, so here's half of this song and a third of this song. And it's nice to see the overture treated as its own individual piece as opposed to just a medley.
Exactly, because a lot of overtures, especially for a lot of the classics, are here's the overture. Here's a little bit of every single song that we're going to go into. Okay, now we're going to go into those songs.
Exactly.
Now, right after the overture, we are introduced to Chloe, who is played by Carly Rose, who is the daughter of Alice. Oh, what is her last name in this show? It was really, really crazy. Cornwinkle. There we go. I was like, this is such a
I never even knew that.
Name.
Wow, that is quite amazing.
It's such a random last name.
Right.
She is the daughter of Alice Cornwinkle, who Alice is played by Janet DeCall, who we talked about previously in the Heights. She played Carla there. And you find a little bit of exposition about their family dynamic, that Alice and her husband are separating, and they're moving to Queens, and Chloe's like, I don't want to move. This isn't my home. Now, the one thing I did know about this song, it reminds me of Home from Beauty and the Beast, Belle's version, because Belle was singing how she has to now adapt to this new home because she had to save her father's life. And it's very reminiscent to this song. And I was like, yeah, they're almost literally the same.
Yeah. Wow, I never noticed that before. No, you're not wrong though. That's absolutely true, for sure.
So with this separation, you also find out that Alice is trying to write a children's book. And they're staying with their mother-in-law, which I'm just like, I can already feel that living with your mother-in-law while you are separated from her son is probably not a good move.
Easily one of the most awkward living situations on the face of the planet.
Exactly. And the mother-in-law, whose name is Edwina, I want to say, is the matriarch of the household and of the family. Like, she takes no nonsense.
Yes.
It's fun because she also plays a character later on, which it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this song?
So I really love so this song gets done again later on in the show, a song by Alice's character, kind of. I think that's why I like this song. Honestly, it's just kind of, I hate to say it this way, but it's almost like they like threw the girl a bone kind of thing and was like, hey, here's your song. You sing that song, you sing it good. But honestly, the fact that they were able to bring it back like later on in the song brings so much more importance to actually the beginning of the show, which is an interesting like roundabout circle of life kind of thing, which I really love that kind of symbolism it shows. So the song, thinking about how her daughter is just kind of reflecting about what home means and taking it and like trying to look at her life like, oh, home's not a place, it's not an address, it's, you know, being around people that you love and all that kind of stuff, and her just kind of trying to accept that like as her new living situation, which again is brought back into the show later on, but we can get to that when we get there.
So just to give a little bit of, not really backstory, but sort of filler before the next song, because like literally after Home, in terms of song progression, we are thrust into the show and you're like,
yes,
oh, okay, we're just gonna like, go there right now.
And we're walking and we're walking.
And we're falling. So, okay, it's kind of convoluted how she gets to Wonderland. And it's one of those, okay, it reminds me of like all the plot points of Addams Family. It's one of those, okay, we just gotta accept this at face value. There's no explanation, just accept it. This is what's happening.
Absolutely.
So she gets the manuscript of her latest children's book back from her publisher, and they rejected it, saying, "This is too dark." And she laments about, Alice in Wonderland is a dark children's book, which just so happens to be the same book that Chloe is also reading, which brings everything kind of full circle there.
Yeah.
So she hits her head in the service elevator, and don't ask me how. And so she's like, I'm just gonna go and lie down. And so when she lies down.
Side note, if you hit your head, don't take a nap.
Concussion City. That's pretty much the rest of the show is Concussion City.
Yep, just a little nugget for y'all.
And so she wakes up and she is confronted by the rabbit. And they proceed to go to the service elevator, and I don't want to say he pushes her in, but he sort of coaxes her into it, and she starts falling. And I'm like, okay, so I'm just going to accept that the service elevator is the rabbit hole. I'm going to accept that she has hit her head, and chances are this is probably a lucid fever dream. I'm going to accept the fact that this random rabbit has coaxed this person to jump down an elevator shaft. Okay.
Right. Well, I think it helps too how much they throw Alice in the story of Alice in Wonderland in your face in the very beginning of the show. So you're not there. The show doesn't pretend that it's something that it isn't. It's very much like, hi, this is a homage to Alice in Wonderland. Alice in Wonderland, you guys got it? Alice in Wonderland. Great, awesome, let's go. And it just takes off. But yeah, I love and I love also now how they did the show reflects the Wizard of Oz storytelling, which I never really made that connection between Wizard of Oz and Alice in Wonderland until I listened to this show, and they make another reference to it in another song. But just noticing having that difference of how you see people in your life and how it translates differently when you are looking at your life at a different angle. And I think that's great that they are able to tell the same story in such a different way, imaginatively. But anyway.
Now I will say the rabbit, and I keep wanting to say the white rabbit, but he's not the white rabbit in this, he's just the rabbit, is played by Edward Studenmeyer. Oh my God, his vocals in this song.
Yeah.
I was like, honey, you're like butter and I am bread. Please spread all over.
Yeah, it's a great way to be brought into Wonderland.
He's just so smooth with it, and just so I'm just like, okay, I am here for it. And then we are instantly thrust into the next song, which is Welcome to Wonderland. And so during the song, it is very meta, because this is where they say, hey, this isn't Wizard of Oz. And I was like, it's very meta. Because it kind of is.
Yeah.
But it also introduces the world of Wonderland and how it's very crazy and maddening. And from the opening to the middle, because the opening is like, ha, in your face, love, 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 in your face. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Right. It's like when you're at a party and you meet that one friend that's just like a tornado around the room that can entertain literally anybody, talk to anybody. You're just like, what is going on? Yeah. It's such a cool way to introduce Wonderland, for sure.
And Alice is just like, okay, everybody, you're here. I'm gonna go to here for right now, because this is too much for me.
Right. It's I was just trying to get in the service elevator, guys. I'm gonna go. Yeah.
I'm gonna go. I'll see you guys later.
Right. This has been real fun. We'll have to do it again sometime soon.
So Alice at this point is like, okay, why am I here? What is the point of me being here? And in wonderful Alice in Wonderland fashion, a bottle pops up that says, drink me. And this song, honestly, is probably the most frightening song in the entire show.
Yes.
Just of how the women are singing it. And I definitely like compare them to sirens.
Oh, for sure.
How they were like beckoning her to drink. So the song is called Drink Me. And it's a three beautiful trio of voices, of women voices that are just like beckoning Alice, hey, come drink us, come drink us, come drink. And I'm just like, oh, don't do it, girl.
Yeah, the show is very good at making you uncomfortable when it needs to. And that is definitely one of those moments where you're just kind of like, like, should I don't know. It's just, but yeah, 100% siren action for sure. 100%.
It also reminds me that that Wonderland is a very dangerous place.
Yeah.
But it is convincingly innocent.
Yes, absolutely.
Not. And this song.
Ooh, good foreshadowing.
and it's yeah, it is a very dangerous place. I think honestly Wonderland is more dangerous than Oz because everything in Wonderland can kill you.
Yes, not only that, but it's such a hard introspective look like at yourself, which again we will definitely get to later with another song. Which honestly sometimes can be the more dangerous thing out there, you know, is having to do that internal look and be like, all right, self, let's figure this out. And yeah, but it's, yeah, you're not wrong. Like I definitely wouldn't want to be stuck there.
Yes.
No thanks.
Yes. Give me Oz.
Right.
Take Wonderland.
Right.
So we are introduced to the next character, which is the caterpillar. Now, let me say this right now. This song slaps so hard.
Yeah.
It is Frank like the next three songs, I'm just like, Frank, what are you doing? What ride, what journey are you taking us on? Let's buckle up. I'm here for it.
Yep.
Because like this song has a 60s, 70s funk vibe. It's definitely something that you can like vibe to while you're smoking a hookah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So the caterpillar is played by E. Clayton Cornelius, who I literally just added on Instagram because I realized he's also was in several of my favorite shows. Ain't You Proud to Beg? He's also I don't say I know he's involved in the Michael Jackson musical, and I'm like, this guy has just done so much.
Yeah.
But like his vocals in this song are just, whoo.
Yeah.
Oh, the voice.
His range is incredible. Like I almost feel like this is the what is the name of that song in Take Him Home in Les Mis, where it starts like at the bottom of Jean Valjean's like register and like the top of his register. I feel like this is that song. And he does it so skillfully and so effortlessly. It's so great.
And
I would honestly love to hear you sing this song, Kenny.
Oh God! So side note, I think if I were to ever do this show, I really would Caterpillar just because the songs just chef kiss.
Yeah.
I just lost my train of thought. Nope, there it goes.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine. We're recording this live, and I love having moments like this because we're human beings. We're not automatons or robots.
Truth.
One of the things about this song is it is a very caterpillar song.
Yes.
There, like the very beginning is the who are you? I was like, yes, thank you for keeping that, Frank. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
You can definitely just hear him smoking his hookah while he's singing this, and just literally just vibing.
And like the color undertones of this song, all those like mysterious, cool tones that you can just kind of feel pulsing through the song. It's so great. And I love how they almost took, if I remember correctly, it's been a long time since I watched the animated Alice, but from what I remember, I know the caterpillar is like blue and green, or like blue and like indigo almost. And from what I remember, his smoke was also kind of the same, like dark, cool tones. And I love that the feel of this song still is able to create that color palette like straight through into it. It's so good.
And at the same token, this song, like everything else in Wonderland, it feels dangerous.
Yeah.
But the caterpillar's like, hey, it's cool. I'm good. Just don't cross me because I will do whatever I need to do.
Right.
We found out later on that caterpillar can really do some damage, which I'm like, okay. And then we are introduced to El Gato, which is this version of the cat.
I love this song. This song is
crap.
so absolutely incredible. Every time I listen to this song, it just literally makes me want to get up and like learn how to salsa or tango, all of the above. It's such a movement song. It's so good.
So the next song is entitled Go With the Flow. And so the beginning of this song, and I had to listen to it like 3 or 4 times to really go, what is this? What song is this? What song are they mimicking? It wasn't until like the 4th time of me listening to that opening guitar lick that I realized what it was.
Yeah.
It's Smooth by Santana. And I was like, okay, which is a great moment because the cat is real smooth.
Yeah.
His vocals in this song, everything. It is a Latin fueled song.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
You have no choice but to sort of like dance in your feet. Dance in your seat while everything is happening. It's whew.
Yeah. And I love the vulnerability of the song as well. Because it's a very, very well done like homage to Santana and to Latin music in general. But also there's like a part where he gets really carried away in the song and just he kind of breaks the fourth wall with Alice a little bit to take himself out of his play within a play, because I feel like all of these introduction songs are really plays within plays, like in the show. Their own little cute vignettes to really explain the not the background story, but like the visage of who each character is. And that's like the first time we really see one of those characters just being like breaking the fourth wall and just like keep doing what he's doing. It's so good.
and like with this song, okay, first and foremost, the El Gato is played beautifully by Jose Milana.
It's so good.
Sorry. So okay, I'm reading my notes going, what's next? So
no,
El Gato pretty much is like telling Alice, hey, come with me and we'll just go with everything. Literally go with the flow with everything that's happening in Wonderland and you'll get through it. It's almost
don't fight it.
Right, don't fight it. Just take the trip. And it's almost as if the Cheshire Cat is acting as a guide for Alice for the remainder of the show. Then we're introduced to the White Knight, whose name is Jack, which that is kind of important later on in the show.
Yes.
So this song, oh my heaven. Okay. So first you have The Advice of the Caterpillar, which was the Caterpillar song, which has this 60s, 70s funky vibe. Then you have Go With the Flow, which had this Latin vibe. And now we have One Night, which is sung by the White Knight, who is played by Darren Ritchie. You have this pop boy band number.
It's so good. It's so good.
And at first I'm like, I just like Agatho says, go with the flow, accept everything that's happening. And just to hear this song and how he's sort of just like making the moves on Alice, saying, okay, I will be your White Knight. I will be there whenever you need me. And you're like, oh, that's cute. But like, dude, you just met this woman and how are you just already head over heels for her?
Right. The dangers of Wonderland.
So the song is pretty much about how the White Knight will protect her from anyone and everything, which has a very, very that comes to fruition later on in the show.
Absolutely. I love too how he's very in his song, he's very explainy of like the role of his character in the show. Like he's like, here's all the stereotypes that go along with being the white knight, and I'm gonna do my best to fulfill all of them. Like it's just very, the whole show is very meta, but yeah, it's just the one thing that's like, all right, everybody, this is my character. That's all you need to know for now. And just like moves on.
And like as I'm listening to the song, I just envision like all the boy band dances, like yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, okay, I'm here for it. I love this song.
Mm-hmm.
And so the white knight takes Alice and invites her to the Mad Tea Party.
Mm-hmm.
This is where, to me, the show just takes a tonal shift.
Yeah.
Because we are thrust into the Mad Tea Party. And oh my goodness, this song in itself, it reminds me of the Merry Old Land of Oz song,
Mm-hmm.
where you're introduced to this whole new realm of people.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not quite what you thought they would be.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. It's a very interesting way to kind of it kind of goes back to that whole like tornado at a party kind of reference, but instead of one tornado at a party, it's all the tornadoes at the same party, and you're just like, oh god, like what is going on?
It's like being the only sober one in front of everyone who is intoxicated.
Yes, absolutely.
And then we are introduced to the Mad Hatter, played by Kate Shindle.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, Kate Shindle, I absolutely love her. Love her. Especially like because she plays Vivian in Legally Blonde. Mm-hmm. And that was my first introduction to her. And she hits those crazy notes, and I'm like, yes.
She is one of those artists like Kiala Settle that I love and hate all at the same time, because obviously these women have worked very, very hard to get where they are vocally. But their songs are very much the song styles that I excel at. So trying to like hit those songs, it's like, come on, guys, like you gotta make it a little bit easier for the rest of us to be able to, do it. But I love anytime I'm trying to learn a song by either one of them, or that has been part of like the original cast recording as one of them. It's such a great challenge vocally, and they just both do it so effortlessly, and it's crazy.
And so this song, it has once again, Frank is giving us another genre. It's like a big band swing song.
Yes.
And like
very The Mask.
Yes, exactly. See, I was going to make that reference. I was like, people know that.
Whatever. Like, it's just you and me, Kenny.
it just has that Hey Portuno like feel to it, and I'm just like, okay, all right. And I just envision like this huge freaking tap dance number that happens that can happen in the middle of this song.
Sure, absolutely.
So this song is pretty much the Mad Hatter. It's an introduction to her, which is a funny thing because she does reference that the Mad Hatter is not a name; it is a title by whoever wears the hat. And right now, she has that power. And I was like, okay, I hear you. I hear you. And it's pretty much about how she wants to take over Wonderland. And to me, that I was like, oh, so the Mad Hatter is going to be the bad guy of the show? And in my brain, I had to like readjust.
It's hard to accept.
Right. I had to
it's hard to accept. Yeah, it's when I first like figured out, I'm like, first of all, not only are you like the person in the show that's, obviously the antagonist and going to be a serious problem later on, but at the same time, it's like you're telling all of your plans and your stories in front of all of these people in Wonderland. Granted, we, the audience, understand what you're saying, but based on your performance, it's saying that you think that all these people either don't care that this is your plan, or they're so afraid of you that you don't care that they know this.
Mhm.
And it's such a interesting thrust into a power play of showing like who's the boss of Wonderland kind of a thing. And before we even meet the queen, the Mad Hatter's like stepping in front of her, taking her place on the bill. Like, no, you're gonna meet me first. And it's a great song. I absolutely love the song. It's amazing.
Now, later on in the show, you do find out that so the Mad Hatter has her own special place in Wonderland called
Mm-hmm.
the Land of the Looking Glass,
Mm-hmm.
which has a whole other plot point later on. Um,
Right.
so after this wonderful Mad Hatter song introduction, we're
Mm-hmm.
introduced to the Queen. And, and the Queen is played by the same actor or actress who played Edwina, and her name is Karen Mason.
Mm-hmm.
Edwina is the mother-in-law that they're staying with, and it makes sense that the mother-in-law is the queen.
Yes, absolutely.
This is a very I call it a very vaudeville body song.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, I'd agree.
it fits who the Queen of Hearts is.
Yeah.
So.
I love the juxtaposition that they throw into this song based on like how like her phrasing is versus how the just how the song flows, and there's parts of the song that make you think like, oh, she's an idiot, but it's really like if you really listen to the song, it's like, no, she was like a serial killer. Like she like is totally cool with it, and it's her way or the highway, and it's just kind of like, wow.
And
cool.
she gets joy from beheading people.
Yes.
And I'm just like, oh God, okay.
Yeah.
So before the next song, we are given just a little bit more of a plot to keep the story going. So the Queen confronts Alice because she's this new entity in Wonderland, and she is threatened by the look of Alice. So she wants to have Alice executed because she doesn't like the way she looks. And so Alice is like, wait, hold on. I'm actually from a different land, and if you spare me, I can take you to that land. It's called the Land of Queens, meaning Queens, New York. And the Queen is like, oh, a land of queens like me? I'll go there. I'll rule it with my fist. Which Mad Hatter is like, hold on, so you're just going to give this woman another land that I could? All right. And it's not a good reasoning for me for the Mad Hatter to all of a sudden really just hate Alice, to want to start revenge on her. It's one of those, like Elgato says, go with the flow, accept it for face value. Okay.
Well, it almost plays into the ego too of the Mad Hatter kind of going back to her singing her introduction song, like everyone's stupid, like, oh, these people don't know what I'm doing. I can tell all of you people about it, even though we're all in the same room. It's cool. So it's almost like she herself thinks the Queen is aloof enough to not be a threat, and to see Alice's character as a new threat because all of a sudden she's, giving the Queen more power and what she wants. And at the end of the day, I mean, what do all women want? We all we all want some power, and clearly the entities in the show are no different. So,
and then we so the Mad Hatter and the March Hare. I'm gonna say the March Hare's name is Dennis. Oh, give me a second. Let me look at my notes again. What is the March Hare's name?
Danny.
Danny. There we go.
Yeah, Danny Styles.
So Danny Styles plays a perfect sidekick to Kate, and
absolutely
as the March Hare, and that comes in later on. So the March Hare and the Mad Hatter hatch a plan to get revenge on Alice.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is where Alice sings the reprise of Home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like the first time that we are actually seeing her not this is gonna make her sound awful, but it's like it's the first time that we see her showing emotion about her daughter.
Or like making a connection of any kind with her daughter.
With her
Yeah.
daughter. Yeah. And she's lamenting about like not being able to be at home with her, and she's like missing her and everything. And like all the other characters, like all the other protagonists, like the caterpillar, El Gato, the rabbit,
Yeah.
they're all like, and the knight, who, like I said, they all follow her through this adventure. It's
Right.
very Wizard of Oz-esque.
Yeah.
And they're like, don't worry, we'll make sure that you get back home to Queens.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, cool. But like I like this version more than
Yeah.
Chloe's version.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because like Alice, she is thrust into this place where she feels like she'll probably never ever go back home. And I'm sure in the back of her mind she probably thinks she's dead and this is purgatory. And so
Oh, possibly, yeah.
so when she's singing this, it's one of those, am I accepting the fact that I'm no longer alive, or am I accepting the fact that this is a dream that I can wake up from?
Yeah, absolutely. Or just the fact of going with the flow and just needing to let go and not be so controlled over life. Because I feel like that's also a little bit of symbolism that's trying to be made with this song, at least for me, is the fact that she's making this connection with her daughter for the first time in the show and finally giving us some kind of a musical cue that she understands her daughter and doesn't like hate her for that. Not that, I don't know why I have that impression that she just has like some kind of disdain for her daughter. I don't know if it's because the situation that she's in or, you know, what have you. But it's just such an important distinction for her to like be able to be like, okay, let me take a breath. Let me just not control everything and go with the flow and see what happens. And the fact that she's able to realize that through the song that her daughter sings in the beginning of the show is just a great reflection back to, hey, we're still, you know, in a show, like, don't forget this real world still exists over here while this is going on.
Let's unpack that for a little bit between the relationship between her and her daughter, and the situation that they are both kind of in. So obviously something is going on between the husband and the mother, and we're not given that sort of detail on why the separation happened, or it could not even be a separation. It could just be, hey, I need some space from you. You need some space from me. I need to go and write a book. It almost, I hate to do this. I'm gonna hate to do this. It almost reminds me of the last 5 years, where maybe the husband is being distracting to Alice while she's trying to write a book. And so she's like, look, I need some space from you so I can focus my mind on everything else.
Yeah, on the task at hand to get it done. Yeah.
But at the same token, with how the daughter sung the first song of Home, obviously there is something going on between the husband and the wife, Alice and her husband, that has forced them to separate.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up because going into the next song, I believe there's a little bit more plot that's given from the Mad Hatter to Alice's daughter. That's just kind of like, well, might as well just talk about the song now. Never mind. Go ahead.
I'll give the title. You go ahead and talk. The next song is entitled "A Little Nice Walk." A nice little walk. That's why I wanted to unpack the daughter and mother relationship, because I'm like, that's coming right into this song.
Yeah, absolutely. So this song is very indicative of something that the Mad Hatter alludes to in her song, that I think the lyrics are, there's nothing I won't do. There is nothing too taboo, kind of a thing. I think that's how the line is, that she literally goes to the real world, convinces Alice's daughter oh, I'm your parents' therapist. You need to come to therapy with us so we can talk about this. And she kidnaps her daughter, like takes her to Wonderland. And it's just like, wow, you're going to put this poor child's life in danger who you don't know has never done anything to you. And like, it just goes to show how like power, and this is totally a little off topic, but how power in the wrong hands can be horrible for everybody around you. And
Now, I'm going to plant this seed right now.
Yeah.
It is the fact that the Mad Hatter went to the real world plays later on in the show.
Yeah.
Because when we discover things later on, which seeds, nuggets.
Yeah, absolutely.
Nuggets.
Nuggets.
So Chloe gets kidnapped to Wonderland, and instead of like taking her to Wonderland, she is taken to the Mad Hatter side of Wonderland, the land of the looking glass. A weird title.
Yeah, it's hard to get out.
And she is kept prisoner there. And so the Act 1 finale, let's talk about this song a little bit more. This song is almost very, very much like Poor Child from The Little Mermaid, where Flotsam and Jetsam are like trying to convince Ariel to go to Ursula. It's very much like, hey, come with us. We'll make everything better. It's gonna be great. It's like
very obvious to the audience that like all the red flags are going off. But like this like pure innocence is just like, sure. And you're just like, ugh.
But at the same token, it's like stranger danger, but Chloe doesn't view the Mad Hatter as a stranger.
Right.
We'll get into that later.
Absolutely.
So the Act 1 finale is all the protagonists standing in a row, singing about how they're going to help Alice go through the looking glass quite literally, to save Chloe. It is a nice Act 1 finale because it served its purpose. It is just saying, hey, this is what the next plot point is going to be. This is where the next setting is going to be. This is what Act 2 is going to be about. Through the looking glass you go.
And then intermission.
I feel like, and this is going to be awful, and I'm going to say it. I feel like this Act 1 finale, though it served as a great Act 1 finale for the show, it doesn't have that banger of a finite for a finale.
Yeah, absolutely.
It goes, okay.
Right. It's like, and just to sum up Act 1, we have these people doing the book report on it. Like, it's very, honestly, I really feel like this song, plot-wise, isn't necessarily crazy important. Now, obviously, the formula for musical theaters is every song kind of has its position to help move the plot along and all that kind of good stuff. And as the Act 1 finale, like it does do the exact job, like textbook definition, which is kind of interesting given how the White Knight song was all about, here's the textbook definition of who I am. And like everybody's character is very black and white, which is weird for Alice in Wonderland because everything is so topsy-turvy and unclear, honestly. So it's very interesting that. And I think it almost kind of pulls you out of the show, or like allows you to take a breather from the show, because the show itself knows it's a lot, you know, and it's a nice little reprieve. And honestly, the harmonies in this song, absolutely incredible. They're so good.
So good. I mean, the harmonies in this show in general is so good.
That's very true.
We'll discuss the length of this musical and how and the length of it on Broadway in detail later on, but it just, I feel like it was a missed opportunity.
Yes. Yeah.
So then we are brought into Act 2, and a lot has happened in Act 2. So our protagonists, and I'm just gonna say that whenever I say the protagonist, that means the White Knight, the Caterpillar, El Gato, and the Rabbit, and Alice.
Yep.
Those 5 people, the Power
Right.
Rangers.
Right.
The protagonists are through the Looking Glass, and they are in the
Mm-hmm.
land of the Looking Glass, and they are immediately captured.
Yep. As you do.
And I'm just like, okay, that's a great way to start Act 2.
Yep.
Here are our heroes, and they're captured. Okay.
Yep.
And you can see that Chloe is locked up in a dungeon in a high tower, like, you know, all damsels in distress are.
Right.
And you are once again reintroduced to the Mad Hatter, but this time she has a much darker feel to it, to herself, and she sings this. I call it a beautiful ballad, but oh god.
Oh, it is a power ballad. This is
Ballad.
literally probably my favorite musical theater song to sing. Like there's so much power and strength behind this song, not only in how it's written, but the words behind it, the progression of how the song moves. It's such a strong female power ballad. It's great.
And the song is entitled I Will Prevail. And it firmly cements the Mad Hatter as the protagonist of the show.
Oh, absolutely.
Firmly cements it. Like
You mean antagonist?
Yeah. Nobody else. So it's dark, it's gritty, and oh my god, Kate just goes crazy in this song.
Yeah.
Her vocals in this song, just like I listened to the song probably like 3 or 4 times, just going through. I was like, I need to hear this again.
Right. Yeah, it's so great. I love musical theater songs like that. Like that just really any of those strongly belter songs, but you know, that's what I sing. So I guess it explains why I really like this. But yeah, it's great.
And it's not like every day where we get a female antagonist like this. Someone who is a legit like threat. I want to say the only other female antagonist that gives me the scare that the Mad Hatter does in this one is Eveline from The Wiz.
Yeah.
Because just her power and just her song, everything about her screams, I will kill you with a blink of an eye.
Right.
And same thing with the Mad Hatter. I feel like the Mad Hatter's like, I can throw my hat at you and slice you in half. You would never even know that this hat is a lethal weapon.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. Like, let me mind my P's and Q's.
So it's through the song that you find out that the Mad Hatter has captured the Caterpillar, El Gato, the Rabbit, and Alice, and the Knight. So you find out that Alice and the Rabbit was captured first, and the other 3 were trying to go and try to go to rescue Alice, but they get captured themselves. Alice somehow, I don't want to say breaks free, but by the Rabbit winding his watch back, they were able to get out of the prison cell.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, do his machina, okay.
Right, like, cool, I guess that's a thing.
And so Alice tells the Rabbit, hey, go get captured and help the others by using the watch, like just the same way that you did with us. Yeah. And so the Rabbit's like, okay. And I'm like, wait. I'm just gonna accept it at face value. I'm just gonna accept it. Yeah.
Just gotta go with the flow, Kenny.
Go with the flow. And so then Alice is like put into like, she's like wandering around the castle, and she comes across a hall of mirrors. And she is introduced to this in the musical like track, it says old Victorian guy, but like doing research on it, it's Lewis C. Carroll. And I'm like, why is Lewis C. Carroll all of a sudden in this show? And why is it played by the same person that is playing the White Knight. I don't
Yeah.
get what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally this. So the next song is entitled "I Am My Own Invention,"
Mm-hmm.
and it's Louis C. Carroll talking about how his invention of Alice in Wonderland is just a reflection of him,
Yeah.
and how everybody that's in Wonderland is a piece of him.
Mm-hmm.
And that sort of sets up something later on that unless you are a savvy listener and a savvy stage theater practitioner, you would not pick up on that.
Yeah, this show was really hard to track if you don't know the plot just by listening to the songs. Like, this is definitely not one of those shows that you can like listen to the music. Be like, I got it.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
And so, sorry, I'm looking at my notes again. There it is.
You're good.
So, Lewis starts to encourage Alice to write something that is important to her, and something that she has dreamt of. The thing with this show, especially for this song, it starts to put pieces together. That is the major plot point of the show, which I don't want to give it away yet because we're like literally 3 songs away from revealing that.
Yep.
And it does make you think and go, oh, this is a lot deeper than what we originally had anticipated and as we're watching.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's I think this is definitely the song that's, if you hadn't, that, like you said, really starts to introduce the theme of like the really deep core like theme of this show, and doing like the introspective look on yourself, and I am my own invention, and being trapped in like the Hall of Mirrors. It's all a very literal way of saying, hey, you need to look at you and see like what it is that you have in you that you can create, because that's like every artist is that way. Every person's art is inside of themselves, whether it needs to be nourished by some kind of outside influence, or through educating yourself on whatever your creative medium is, or some people just have it within them. And this is definitely this song of that whole coming of age story of, you have this in you, you just need to find it. And it's such a beautiful duet between the two characters. It's musically, it's so good.
Sorry, I'm over here looking at my notes to not to like verify, but sort of to tie in the next couple pieces together. So then we are thrust pretty much back into the world of Wonderland. So the Mad Hatter has a list of 7 people to execute that she gives to the Queen. It's 6 people that the names are written down, and then there's a 7th wild card person, which you're like, oh, that's probably gonna be Alice. But you soon realize that the 7th person that is going to be beheaded that day is supposed to be the Queen. So that way the Mad Hatter can fully take over all of Wonderland.
Yep.
So sorry, look at my notes again. So then the Mad Hatter starts to persuade the Queen to go with these executions. And so the Queen sings this, I call it a, oh my God. Okay, so she sings a song called Off With Their Heads. And the song is very happy, is very giddy. And it's
very burlesque almost.
Very burlesque.
Yeah.
And she's talking about murder.
Yeah. Just also happily.
Just also happily. Like, oh, yes, I love this so much. Let us have a party.
Right, exactly. But yeah, no, it's such a good character. It's such a fun character song. Like to sing and to like give a character voice to. It's another great song.
And so as Alice is leaving this Hall of Mirrors, she starts to look at the reflections of herself. she thinks she sees Chloe, but it's really herself as a child.
Mm-hmm.
And then she realized why she was brought to Wonderland. And it was to remember who she is, and to remember the love that she had, because you find out that Alice's mother had passed away when she was really, really young.
Mm-hmm.
And it just sort of puts a lot of things into perspective,
Yeah.
especially going forward, because Alice feels that, and this is just me interpreting this song.
Sure.
Alice feels that she isn't as good of a mom as she is that her mom was to her. One of those, if I were to die,
Yeah.
would my daughter have this fond memory of me?
Oh, that's an interesting take on it. Yeah.
And like it once again brings the thought of, is this purgatory for her, or is this all just a dream?
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a great look at the innocence that she used to have as well, that she no longer has, and finding out that that's what it is that she needs to find in herself to write this book. Because for her, it's kind of like an all-inclusive pivotal point in the show where it's like, aha, understood. I can't remember or can't forget where I came from to be able to move forward.
And the song is entitled Once More I See.
Mm-hmm.
And just the title alone, you get it. You get it. She's like, oh, once more I see myself, and I see why I am here in Wonderland.
Yeah.
I am here to fix myself in a way, because maybe every person that she has encountered is a piece of her. Like Carol, everything in Wonderland was a piece of him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is I'm so sorry. It's such a like wonderful, soft, bright light, and like the insanity that is Act 2, and just like the constant despair that's thrown in the audience's face. It's just a really nice reprieve from that, and being able to kind of almost go on that dream sequence with her, because the music itself is very hypnotic and lullaby-esque and very comforting, which is all the things that you want from a mother, and that you should experience in your childhood. And it's there's so many great ways where the emotions of the song are written into the music, which is so amazing when people can really pull that off. And he definitely does a wonderful job with this show, for sure.
So then after this song, we are sort of thrust, sorry, there's an eyelash in my eye. I just want to get it out. Okay.
Make a wish. Make a wish.
It already came true. So then we're once again thrust back into plot central, as I like to call these moments in between songs.
Yeah.
So the rabbit gets captured, but the watch gets taken away from him. And so now he's like, oh, well, I can't save you guys now, sorry. And so the rabbit gets upset, and the white knight is Jack, the white knight,
right.
It's like, hey, it's okay, we are in this magical place, and just don't fear anything. And then all of a sudden they get the watch back, and I'm just like, how? Okay, I'll accept it. And they fight off the guards to get out of this prison cell. Now the guards are the White Knight's boy band members that gets brainwashed by the Mad Hatter. And so now that they're no longer brainwashed, the boy band has now joined the party. So now we have the caterpillar, Ogato, the rabbit, the White Knight, and the boy band members.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. It's gonna be quite the little entourage.
Just a whole entourage. Now, during this fight scene, you see that the caterpillar actually knows some moves, and I'm like, yes, catty pillar, get it.
For sure.
So they end up going, and they they sing this song called Together, which to me it's like a montage song where
Yeah.
they're trying to, like, beef themselves up and saying, okay, let's go save Alice, let's do it together. And I'm just like, oh my god, okay.
Yeah, just like, oh, we're gonna be this campy now. Oh, all right, I guess we're gonna be this campy.
and it's not just camp, it is over the top camp, and it once again brings like all of the individual characters' moments from their own previous songs. Like Elgato has his moment, the rabbit has his moment, the caterpillar has his moment, the white knight and the boy band has their moment, and I'm just like, okay, this is literally a montage in a song of them going to save Alice. I'll accept that. I'll take it. Let's move forward.
Yeah, for sure.
So then we get more plot, more plot point central. So the March Hare, who I was trying to remember what the March Hare's name was. His name is Morris. The actual character's name is Morris. Hands, like, he doesn't like the fact that the Mad Hatter is trying to take over Wonderland. This is a whole new thing to him. He's like, wait, well, let's calm down now, because you don't want to kill the queen. You don't know what's going to happen with that. So he hands the list of people that's being beheaded to Jack the White Knight, and Jack is like, oh no, the Mad Hatter is trying to overthrow everything. It's like, this is the point where everyone knows the secret.
Right.
And the Mad Hatter comes in, and she's like, huh, you guys have found out my secret. And then she's like, well, Alice, I have one more riddle for you. And this is where the show takes, I call it a Freudian twist. So through this riddle, you find out that the Mad Hatter is literally an alter ego to Alice. Which puts the entire show into perspective.
Yeah, it really does. It really honestly does.
And it's I'm gonna say it. So it brings the point that because later on, this is when you actually find out that Alice's mother had passed away, and how Alice was supposed to come to Wonderland much sooner, but didn't because her mother passed away. And I'm like, oh my God, is Wonderland an allegory for therapy?
Oh, maybe.
Because everything that is happening in Wonderland to Alice is helping her with a piece or a part of her life. Like all the characters that she's introduced to, all the action that she does, it all points to her either not reliving, but dealing with childhood trauma. It just adds a whole deeper, darker tone to the show. And I'm just like, wait, this is supposed to be a happy musical.
Yeah, it gets to a point where it just takes a whole left turn and you're just like, oh, my heart. Oh, no. Oh, where are we going? Oh, make it stop. Yeah, but it's it definitely humanizes and makes the entire story relatable, like in one instance and in one song. Yeah.
So due to the Mad Hatter being the alter ego, she is every bad moment or bad event that has happened in Alice's life. So Alice is all of the good, whereas the Mad Hatter is all of the bad.
Yeah.
So now we've got to sort of fuse the two together. And so the queen comes in and she's like, "You're trying to behead me?"
All right.
And banishes the Mad Hatter to the underworld.
Mm-hmm.
But Alice is like, takes pity on the Mad Hatter and tries to sort of say, no. It's all of this is happening because of me.
Yeah.
And oh wow, sorry, I just read the next part. I totally forgot about that.
No,
And
you're
so
good.
and so Alice tries to defend the Mad Hatter, but the Mad Hatter's like, no. If I'm going down, she's coming with me, and holds her hand
Right.
at that point. And I'm like, oh God. And
Mm-hmm.
so keeping his promise, the White Knight, Jack, goes and pretty much thrusts the Mad Hatter into the underworld, and he goes with her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like so sad. I'm like,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
So everybody is happy. Chloe gets saved, and they sing this beautiful song about heroes, which has a sort of double meaning.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely a song about Jack, but it's also a song about how the mother went to go save the daughter, and how the daughter was brave throughout all of this.
Yeah.
And they are transported back to the real world.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on Heroes before we continue on to the rest of this show?
I think Heroes is a great opportunity to step out of the show and have the audience to like really just have that moment with themselves. Of heroes can be anybody. They can be somebody you pass on the street. It can be somebody that does such a small token as to, you're carrying a bunch of stuff trying to walk through a door and somebody opens the door for you. Like, granted, it's such a small, minuscule, thing, but at the same time, like, those kind of small, minuscule things can make a huge difference in how your day turns out, or how like things end up working out for you in the end. And just the idea that the show puts out there that everybody can be a hero to somebody, whether it's yourself or somebody that you're close to, or just meeting for the first time. It's a very what's the word I want to use? Optimistic look towards the future, if you can put it that way.
Mm-hmm. So when Chloe and Alice are transported back to the real world, Chloe disappears and Alice wakes up.
Mm-hmm.
And she realizes it was all literally just a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And her husband is there. And her husband is Jack, the White Knight.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it also puts that into perspective again, that she really does love him.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever happened between them is something that they just got to fix.
Yeah.
And she makes so Jack is there with a doll that Chloe had left.
Mm-hmm.
And so he drove to make sure that she had the doll. And Alice makes fun of him, saying, "You always had the White Knight syndrome. You always want to save the day and protect your family." And I think it's at that moment where Alice realized that whatever that they are going through is small and minuscule.
Yeah.
And that their love for each other can outlast anything. And it's such a nice, beautiful, like, full circle moment.
Yeah. It's a great bow at the end of the show, like a great little, like, no matter what, like, as long as you could push through with anybody to get, if it's worth fixing, it'll get fixed, and just having that kind of attitude of, it's interesting going into the show how she's almost too in control of things, and she is told to like let go and just let life be what it is. And I think that's a great like kind of lesson to take away from it, is that you can't sometimes you have to just go with the flow, and you can't let your anger or whatever get the better of your judgment. And sometimes it's not worth the energy almost, and it just brings you down instead of helping you progress forward. And it's a great message to have at the end of the show. That's just very much like, you know, things happen. You can either go with it or dwell on it. And if you dwell on it, you'll end up like the Mad Hatter and being insane and ruthless and nobody like not wanting and nobody wanting you around kind of a thing. And it's just a really great moment to just like remind people like to not be dicks.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
And it leads into the next song, which I think is literally the most 2020, 2021 song ever. And it's called Finding Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
And it's literally about taking, Alice sings this, and it's literally about taking moments, taking time, because time is fleeting and nothing is promised, but taking those moments to love your loved ones, hug them, cherish them, be around them, live life. Don't just focus on your work, just live life. Which now that I think about it, I think that is what the issue was. Alice was so focused on her work that the family suffered from it.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, I could definitely see that for sure.
So what are your thoughts on Finding Wonderland?
It's just it's a great little button to the end of the show, kind of like the previous song before it, but it's a great way to again break that fourth wall and have Alice be like, all right, everybody, let me give it to you straight. Like, if you've noticed, if you've learned anything from this show we've just put on up here, don't sweat the small stuff. Do what you can to help other people to be the best person that you can be. And you can't like find Neverland by just chasing happiness that's constantly like work driven and you're not stopping to smell the roses and experience your life. And what is so funny?
You said Neverland. It's Wonderland.
Oh. You know, lands and places and stuff. But yeah, no, it's just it's a really beautiful end to the show, to be completely honest. And it's just kind of, I feel like a lot of shows don't necessarily have this moment of speaking to the audience in such an honest and upfront manner. That's not in like a commedia dell'arte kind of way or like any kind of a weird nuance. It's just very black and white. And that's one of the things I really like about the show is the show knows what it is. You know, it doesn't try to be something it's not. And I feel like that's really the moral of that last song is just be a good person and be you.
Live your life to the fullest.
Absolutely.
Because living your life to the fullest, that's Wonderland.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's Wonderland.
Yeah.
Oh, like, okay, so I know we're going to get into the top 3 songs. You know what? Let's go into the top 3 songs, and then we'll go into random thoughts because I have thoughts.
Yes, many a thought.
So, what are your top 3 songs, Danielle?
Well, without question, number 1 is "I Will Prevail." That song, like that song, literally just makes me want to like put my face through a wall with power. If that makes any makes any kind of sense. Like it just has such like a forward moving energy to it. And it's just such a fun song to sing. That's purely from a vocal standpoint, definitely my number 1 song in the show. Probably for plot reasons, probably not my number 1, but as far as like vocal execution, it's definitely number 1 in the show for me. Number 2 would probably be "Off With Their Heads," just because it's a very King Louis song.
Yeah.
And it's also like her the Queen's like juxtaposition song of her just being like, "Oh, I'm royalty, but don't you worry, I will cut your head off without thinking twice." It's just like such a okay, like good to know. Thanks for the heads up. And it's just such, I don't know, I just think the song's hilarious. Like it's really just such a what's the phrasing I want to use? Like a comedic villain song that you just can't help but like not take her seriously as a villain during that song. And it's just like, oh, you're just crazy. Cool. So definitely those two. Sorry, I'm looking through the song list real fast. Probably third would probably be Once More I Can See, just because it's important every once in a while to be able to like take a journey back mentally, to be able to recognize where you came from. And if you've had like a clear or like a pure view of something and it's been tainted by something else, then you just find that by losing your innocence in whatever sense can change how you view something. And that's kind of the part that I love about that song, is that it just talks so clearly about like the purity of innocence and how not needing to be in control all the time and just letting your life take its course and stopping to smell the roses and being like, well, no, well, what if the clouds were dragons flying across the sky, you know, and just kind of really accepting that possibility. Which, as you were saying throughout most of the songs, is a lot of this show is accepting the possibility.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the show is just accepting in general. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
My top three, and two of them are okay. Literally, all three of them is one after another, just because. But like, I do have some honorable mentions. I'll do my honorable mentions first.
Okay.
My first honorable mention is definitely the Mad Hatter song. My God.
Absolutely.
For real, yes. My second honorable mention will have to be I Will Prevail, just because the character of the Mad Hatter is an honorable mention, because oh my God, the songs that this woman sings and can do, that role is such a juicy, meaty role.
Absolutely.
Any female. But my top three songs. Number one is the advice of a caterpillar.
Yeah.
Because I'm gonna sing that song probably in the shower later on.
That's fair. It's a great song.
The second one, and like I said, they're in a row, so you could probably guess what the second one's going to be. The second one is going to definitely be Go With The Flow.
I actually almost said that as one of my top three. It's such a great song.
It is such a fun, fast, dancing song that I like, and it's a wonderful introduction to El Gato, the Cheshire Cat, and the fact that they gave the Cheshire Cat more of a Latin feel. Mwah, chef's kiss. I'm here for it. And my absolute favorite song, just because of everything that happens in it, is One Night. I just love that song so much. It is so campy, so cute, but at the same token, it's so smooth and suave.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so ridiculous. It's great.
Okay, random thoughts on the show. So first and foremost, I'm just gonna get this out there before before it leaves my head. This show literally, and hang on, I'm just gonna look at my notes just to make sure that I am saying this correctly, because when I saw this, I was like, what? Are you joking?
Yeah.
So the show opened April 17th, 2011, and closed less than a month later, March on May 15th, 2011. The fact that this show literally only had like a month of showing. Yeah. I personally feel like this show came out at the wrong time. Yeah. I feel like if this show came out in like 2019-ish, it would probably have been received better. But like, there were so many other shows that came out during this time frame that it just like makes you go, oh, well, the show just got lost in the shuffle. Yeah, for sure. It did get a lot of negative reviews though, but like, in my opinion, I think it's probably just the book that was the killer, because the music is beautiful.
Yeah, the music is great.
What are your random thoughts?
Well, before I say any of those, I'm a giant Alice in Wonderland like nerd. That is my all-time favorite story is the Alice in Wonderland story I've read through the Looking Glass. I have a book that is all the way over there, but it's an annotated Alice book, which goes through all of Lewis Carroll's like original drawings that he had in the book, and talking about like where those images came from and how he created all these characters, and just the mythology, if you will, behind Wonderland is just such well thought out and so creative in its own right. So that alone, it's really hard for me to be unbiased about this show, because it is, for me, it is just such, I love shows that are able to bring such grave imagination like onto the stage, unapologetically so, like accepting it that it is what it is and not pretending to be something else. And I feel like this show does it so well and so fluidly that you never feel like any breaking of the fourth wall is out of place, or you don't feel like, you know, the pacing is off or anything like that. Like it's just it's a well-paced show. It's, you know, it gives you a little bit of everything that you want. It gives you all the title characters that you need to, you know, the usual formula for a show that, you know, the Wizard of Oz story followed and also Wonderland follows. It's a great show. I honestly couldn't like speak any like more highly of it. I love it. I think it's a great show.
So
and it speaks to a lot of women empowerment. But.
Yes, exactly. So I'm doing some research really quick to see what other musicals came out during that time. Guess what musical came out? Wait, no. It started its previews. It didn't open until 2014. Never mind. But like,
oh, gotcha.
It was during this time where Aladdin was also in previews, but
sure,
it was in Seattle.
Gotcha.
So let's go ahead and do a rating scale. On a scale of A+ to F, where would you put Wonderland?
Oh God. Am I looking at it as like from like a theater critic perspective, or am I looking at it through like Danielle's biased opinion because Alice in Wonderland perspective?
Yes.
Those grades aren't far off from each other. Okay, great. So I would have to give this show really is an A for me, like, to be completely honest. Like I really feel like it gives me personally everything that I want, that like theater represents to me: the acceptance of what's happening on stage, the willingness to overplay certain things, or to create such divisions between characters to create, like, weave together such an incredible story. But it also has like so many flaws with it. Like, I don't, like, spoiler alert, the Cheshire Cat doesn't go invisible, and everybody just convinces him that he has the ability to become invisible. And like, it just, you know, those small, because like what's that hurting, you know? Like him believing that he can be invisible, like everyone's like, sure, whatever. Like if that's what makes him happy, cool. And I think it's, in all of its flaws, I think it's still a pretty great show. So yeah, I would definitely have to give it like a solid A. What about you, Kenny?
Okay, so I'm gonna be very, very candid. So I've had this cast recording for a while, and like I listened to it, but I didn't like listen to it.
Yeah.
Anyone who has like done a lot of theater, go back and listen to like a cast recording that you haven't listened to in a very long time. Your perspective on it is totally different. So with this particular show, today, as in when we were recording this, was the first time I actually sat down and just listened to it.
Sure.
And I was finding so many beautiful moments in the score and in the songs, that like it changed my mind. Now, I'm going to give it a B. But I feel like when I do my final thoughts, I might change my mind, because I always change my mind whenever I do my final thoughts. It never fails. Just to be very, very candid, I always record my final thoughts like the week that this particular podcast will go up, so that way
Oh, sure.
I'll have some time to like literally sit on it, mull around it, let it switch in my
Yeah.
mouth a little bit like it's a fine wine,
Mm-hmm.
and give my honest opinion on it. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a B.
That's fair.
The music is great. I feel like the script could probably use some work, but
Sure.
who am I to say to a book writer, hey, your book sucks.
Right. Like, honey, they did it before you and better than you. Get out of town. Like,
But yeah, I'll definitely give it a solid B. So,
yay.
Danielle, what are your
Kenny.
final thoughts on Wonderland?
If you haven't listened to the show, I really think you should. It has something for everybody, even if you're not into musical theater or theater in general. Like, it has so many different styles of music that it really has something for everybody, I feel. But the show as a whole, I can't speak enough towards the female empowerment in this show. And some of it, granted, is very negative, and some of it is very positive with what, you could do with power and how, well, anybody can manipulate, but the example given in the show is how like women can manipulate so easily and what means usually, because all of the Mad Hatter songs have a very seductive like underlying theme in them, to like it makes it very hard to turn down whatever that the Mad Hatter is asking you to do. And I think that speaks a lot to it's gonna sound really bad, but it speaks a lot to the tools that like women have in their arsenal to be able to use that power for good or evil, I guess, depending upon the kind of person that you are. And it's interesting to have a show that is so female driven, especially with changing the sex of the Mad Hatter in the show from the original story, and just creating such a female like driven plot line is just, I don't know. I can't speak enough of it, to be honest, but that's also coming from a female carpenter that, I don't know, just is always, women should feel empowered, and you should find whatever that art medium or whatever that medium is that makes you feel that. And for me, that's this show. So
Beautifully put. Well, Danielle, thank you so
Kenny.
much for being on here and in Wonderland with me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This was really fun.
To be very candid, everyone, we were like very, very nervous, or at least she was.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a pro at it now, not really. And
Oh no, you are.
and I was like, honey, once we said start going, you're gonna forget that we're recording this and we're just
That's
talking
true.
about a musical.
That is very true. You're not wrong.
So Danielle, again, thank you for being here. And
thank you for having me, Kenny.
oh, no problem. Everyone else, stay tuned, and I will give my final thoughts in just a moment. Kenny's final thoughts. All right, my final thoughts. This is where I give my opinion on the musical that we have just discussed. Then, using a 5-star grading scale, I will break down the musical into 5 different categories: music, story, comedy, drama, and replayability. Finally, I will give it an overall letter grade with the help of opera singer Marseille Alundra. Oh, Wonderland. Frank Wildhorn, I swear, your way of writing music is so brilliant. It's so fresh, and I absolutely enjoy literally everything this man has written. Literally everything. And Wonderland is no exception, especially for the music. The story, it's kind of convoluted, but at the same token, it does go into a realm that a lot of musical theater does not, which makes me very happy. I think the only show, I mean, there might have been other shows, but the show that really rings into mind with this show is Next to Normal, with the whole mental health thing. This show is very, very, very well done, and musically, that is. The book might have needed some help, but musically, it's a beautiful, gorgeous show. I love it. So let's just go ahead into this wonderful, wonderful breakdown here. All right. For music, obviously I'm giving it 5 stars. It's Frank Wildhorn. If if anything, listen to Wonderland and go, "Oh, okay." Like he literally gives you all kinds of genres within this one musical, and it all makes sense, which is very, very difficult to do. For story, I'm going to give story 4 stars. Don't get me wrong. The book needed some work, but I liked where the story was going. I liked what the story was trying to say. Um, Honestly, I think the book is probably the reason why it didn't last that long on Broadway. But good God, I'll go into all of that later because this musical came out in 2011, and I didn't realize how many other musicals came out during that time, which is probably why Wonderland got swept underneath the rug. For comedy, I'm definitely gonna give it 3 stars. It is a funny musical, but the drama in it is very, 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 very heavy. There are a few comedic moments to break it up, but the it's more of a drama musical than anything. So for drama, I'm going to give it 4 stars. Just the ending alone makes you go, "Oh, okay. I I see what you're trying to do, and I see what you did do, and I'm okay with that." To take Alice and make her entire journey more of a journey of self-discovery. Now, I will say the original novel, Alice Adventures in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass, are very, 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 very Alice trying to find self-reflection and Alice trying to better herself as an individual. Like every person that she encounters is trying to help Alice in a way to either get her to be more adult, lose some of that childhood innocence, not be so trusting of others, and know how to make right and proper decisions. So this musical, it did that. It did that for me. So yes, I'm gonna give drama 4 stars. Replayability. Look, there are certain songs in this show that I would listen to on repeat. There are certain songs in this show which I'm like, I'm just gonna skip it. But those songs are far and few between. So replayability, I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I would listen to this musical at least once a week if I had the time, just because the music is great. The songs are great for belters. There is literally a song for everyone in this musical. So yeah. Overall, and this is where it gets kind of funny because I feel like if this musical had came out in a different time, it probably would have been a lot better. So overall, I'm gonna give this musical an A because it is a good musical. It is a fun musical. The music in it is great. It the message does kind of beat you upside the head, but it uh, it gives the audience something different to look at when it comes to Alice in Wonderland. It gives the audience a different perspective on the incidences that has happened to Alice in Wonderland. And to have it set in a more modern tone, it's to me Wonderland is like the whiz of Alice in Wonderland. So, yeah. So, Marseille, honey, give me that A. Beautiful. Now, this is where it gets kind of crazy. Okay, remember how I was saying that this musical came out at the wrong time? So, this musical was up against Sister Act, The Scottsboro Boys, Catch Me If You Can, and the eventual winner of the 2011 Tony Award for Best Musical, The Book of Mormon. This show had no chance of surviving. It was up against some very, very heavy hitters. Book of Mormon was it swept the Tonys that year. It swept it. Now, not as, it took home everything, but it damn near took home everything. The musical opened on Broadway April 17th, 2011, and it closed on Broadway May 15th, 2011, with only 33 performances. 33 performances. 1 month of performances. That's ridiculous. It had its first preview March 21st of 2011. Did I say 2021? 2011. Okay, 2011. If I said 2021, I meant 2011. It's been a day, guys. It's been a day. But it had its first preview March 21st, 2011. And it had 30 previews. So altogether, the show had 63 performances. 63. Now, granted, there are some musicals that have open and closed the same day. But I feel like, and I will say this until I'm blue in the face, if this musical came out in a different time, it would have been a lot more well received. Now, the thing about this musical, which sort of angers me, is the rights aren't available for it yet. Now, when I recorded this podcast, the rights were not available. So I'm just going to do a quick Google search and just to see if the rights are available yet. And again, they are. Wait. Is it? Oh, no, it's not available yet. MTI had an article on it, and I guess MTI was going to pick it up, but they never did. Oh my goodness, that's so sad. I mean, they have the other Frank Wildhorn productions, Jekyll and Hyde, Dracula, and Civil War, but they don't have Wonderland, not yet at least. But either way, the rights aren't available, which makes me very, very sad because there are certain roles in this show that I would love to do, i.e., the caterpillar. Good God, love it. But you can listen to the original Broadway cast recording on Spotify. I really wish this musical had more of a running. And not only that, but I just wish more people had known about it instead of just, the handful die-hard musical theater lovers. So, next time on this podcast, I will be talking with Kyle Bailey on the musical that he absolutely loves so much, Andrew Lloyd Webber's Cats. So, until next time, and as always, stay beautiful, you amazing creature. Take care. Thank you for tuning into The Whole Note. The Whole Note is recorded at Roxy Regional Theatre in Clarksville, Tennessee. Intro and outro, The Bumble by Joshua Pyron, and was inspired by The Flight of the Bumblebee. Grading scale notes sung by Marseille Alundra. This podcast is edited and produced by me, Kenneth L. Waters Jr. Tune in next week and discover a new musical. Don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, stay amazing, you beautiful creature.